holding Monday, middle of making of this the ephod and the choshen that the Kohen Gadol wore when he did the service in the Beis Hamikdash. So so again, this was this is what the Torah tells us. This is what the ephod looked like. This is what he's talking about right now. So the ephod had a bottom curtain, a bottom part, an apron. I'm sorry, not a curtain. A bottom part that had a rope sash that was attached to the top of that apron, and the top of that sash was connected to shoulder straps that were connected to that to the strap on the shoulder straps. The top, there was a top Avnei Shoham, two stones of Shoham that were in gold brackets that had the names of the Jewish people upon it. So he carried them on his shoulder. On the bottom of the strap, there was this. This is what we're going to start now. You shall make settings of gold. These two settings of gold were at the end of the straps, a little bit down his shoulder. And on that straps, on that setting of gold was connected this rope of gold. This is how it looked like, connected to the verse number 13 and number 14. This is what's going to talk about. And that was connected, that rope of gold was connected to the choshen. This was the choshen. It was made out of, as you'll soon see, it was made out of the wool and linen and purple wool. It was flipped in half. And on top of that was put the choshen, the breastplate. This is what we're going to learn about. So that was put upon that cloth. Was put upon 12 settings, 12 different kinds of 12 stones with all the names of the Jews again, of the tribes. And this was what we're going to learn. This is the gold cord that was connected to his shoulder straps, that was connected to the choshen. I hope you are getting it. We're going to be reading it right now, and this is what it looked like. The Avnei Shoham, the gold settings, the rope connected to a ring that was on the choshen, and this was the choshen. And that's what we're going to learn right now. Okay, it's a little bit complicated, but hopefully you'll get it. And you shall make settings of gold. The minimum of settings is 2. In this chapter, the Torah explains the only part that the settings were needed for. In the chapter of the chosen, that explains their explanation is completed for you later on. 2 chains of pure gold. You shall make them attached to the edges, after the manner of cables, and will place the cable chains upon the settings. So that's what he mentioned. So that's the cable chains upon the settings. This was the meaning of the settings, and this is the cable chains that were connected to the tabas, to the ring that held the choshen to the Kohen Gadol. So let's try to see that in the Nasi. Masi avos, masi kliyas chutin, the style of braiding strands, not made with holes and links like those produced for the cistern, but they were made from sensors, which were called in the in the old French. And you will place the chains of cables made in the style of cables on the two settings. This is not the place of the section of the command for making of the chains, nor the command for fastening. The word tase stated here is an imperative expression. The word vasata stated here is also an imperative expression. Rather, they're only in the future tense. Is it because in this chapter of the chosen later on, in Parshas Emor, he commands them again concerning them, making them the change and the fasting of them. It was written here only to let you know part of the need for the settings, which he commanded you to make for the ephod. He wrote this here for you to inform you that that you will need these settings, so that when making the chains at the edge of the choshen, you'll place them in these settings. You'll make the choshen of judgment a work of master. Like the ephod, the same embroidering, same with all the words that zav, tcheles, bagaman. You have to make it out of gold, blue, purple, and crimson wool. The sheish mazazar mixed with linen. Tasa oisha, you shall make it. Why was it called choshen mishpat? Rashi says the reason why it's called choshen mishpat, which atones for a version of justice. So it gave the Kohen Gadol, as we learned before, the Kohen Gadol wore a lot of these things, all these garments were symbolic for another way he brought atonement. Because we know the Kohen, and especially the Kohen Gadol, brought shalom, brought peace between God and the Jewish people. That was his job, to bring peace, to bring the korban, Oyev Shalom, Roidev Shalom. He was a lover of Jews, especially Aaron HaKohen. So everything he wore was symbolic for another thing that Jews would maybe sinned in. So the Choshen Mishpat was for this concept, to bring forgiveness on perversion of justice. Another interpretation, the Choshen is referred to as judgment because it clarifies its words. It promises, and its promises comes true. So that's the meaning. The word Choshen Mishpat, the clear statement for the word Mishpat, has three usages: the word for pleas and litigants, the verdict, and the punishment of judgment. Whenever the punishment of death, the punishment of lashes, the punishment of monetary payment, it says Mishpat. But in this case, this one, using the word Mishpat, serves as an expression of clarification of words, meaning it explains its words. And that one of the miracles that happened there was the Urim V'Tumim, as you soon say, that all the Hebrew words in the Choshen, in the breastplate, they had the 12 stones, and all the Jewish, the names of the tribes were in it. And if there was a question that they didn't know, they would ask the Urim V'Tumim, and the letters would come out, would shine the letters would shine the answer to the question that they didn't have an answer to. The masterwork, weaver of 5 kinds of material. Verse number 16, it shall be a square and doubled, right? There was one piece of cloth that was folded over. So one span, and it's wide, one span. That is kafel mutal. It was doubled and it was suspended before him, the Kohen Gadol, against his heart, and that so shall be over the heart of Aaron, suspended on the shoulder straps of the ephod, which comes from behind him, over his shoulders, and were folded over, descending somewhat in front of him. The choshen was suspended on them, the shoulder straps, by the chains, the golden chains, and by the rings, as explained in the section we just learned. And then you put on the choshen, you put on 12 stones. That's the picture of 12 stones. 12 stones. I bought to them 4 rows of stones. One row, oidem pitda berekes shall be the row. So Rashi says these stones were filled in holes of settings. Every stone had a setting. That was the setting. It was in a gold setting. Every stone had its setting. Vatur Hashem, the second row was Neifach, Sapir, and Yahalom. Vatur Shlishi was Leshem, Shoiva, Va'achlama. Vatur Avi, you ever meet Shem Sun in Yerushalayim, you go to a place, Teres Koyanim, you can buy these stones officially. They sell them. Vatur Shlishi, Tashir, Shoiva, Yoshva, was Tashir, Shoiva, Yoshva, Mishbatzim Zav Yibelun, they shall be set in gold in their fillings. The rows, Rashi is in gold, the rows shall be set in gold in their fillings, encircled by a setting of gold in depth, according to the measure of the fullness of the thickness of the stone, shall be the depth of the setting, no less and no more. So the stone fit exactly into the gold setting. Ravonim, and on these stones should be written, Shmois B'nai Yisrael, should be written the names of the Jewish people. Shteim Asar Shmeis P'tuchai should be 12. It would graved on the seal. Ish al Shemai, each one according to his name. L'shneim Asar Shavet, to the 12 tribes. So again, she says according to the order of when they were born. Ruvain, Shimon. So Ruvain was Oidem, was Ruvain, Pidida was Shimon, etc. and etc. Also, we know that in the names of the Jewish people was missing the letter Ches and the letter Tes. If you take all the 12 tribes, you don't have the letter Ches and you don't have the letter Tes. So these are two important letters. So we know that also besides the 12 tribes were written Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So in Yitzchak you have the Ches. And then at the end it was written Shiftei Yisrael. Shiftei Yisrael is you have the letter Tes. But it's just interesting that in the names of the 12 tribes, you don't have the word Ches, the letter Ches and Tes, which when you put it together, it's Chet, sin. So in all their names, you put all the Hebrew, all the letters together, you don't have that letter Ches and Tes in all the 12 tribes. You shall make the chosen chains of the edge of cable works of pure gold. So that's the for the Choshen to fasten them, it's the rings. That's the rings we're talking about. We mentioned the rings, okay. You have to connect the gold chains to the rings on the top of the Choshen. Okay, the next is a grammar, Guvlis. This Mugbolas mentioned here in verse number 14, that they shall be inserted them into the rings that will be at the edge of the Choshen. Masi Avos, plated. You shall make the chosen 2 golden rings, and you shall place the 2 rings on the 2 edges of the Choshen. So for the Rashi says for the Choshen, in order to fix them to it, however, it's impossible that the 2 rings shall be made on it, the Choshen, from the outset. For if so, what is the meaning of the text? Repeats itself. You shall place the 2 rings. Are they not already placed on it? At the beginning of the verse, scripture should have written, you shall make on the ends of the Choshen 2 golden rings. Also regarding the chains, we must interpret it like this manner, that it was put later. I'll take Choshen on the 2 corners of the opposite his neck, on the right and the left, which is opposite the shoulder straps of the ephod. And there you place the 2 cables of gold through the two rings, which was on the corner of the choshen. Rashi says these are the chains from the edge mentioned above. The Torah did not delineate there where they were to be fixed on the choshen. Now it explains that you should insert them into the rings, and you should know that they're indeed referring to the first ones, as we'll read later in Ela Pekudei. Later, the Torah again reiterates exactly how to do this. Verse 25, the two edges, two ends, two cables, a chain, a golden chain, you shall place into the settings, and these you shall place back on the shoulder of the ephod in front of him. So you have to, in essence, put one into the setting, put it through the loop of the choshen and bring it back to the top and connect it to the top. I'm sorry. Dashi said the two cables to the two ends of each side. See, they are the ones that mentioned above between the section dealing with the choshen and the section dealing with the ephod. The Torah did not explain the necessity or the place. Now the Torah explains that they should be inserted them in the ends of the chains, which are inserted into the rings of the choshen on the right and the left side of the neck. They should go back to the settings that was on the straps of the ephod. Again, Rashi explains, upon the shoulder straps of the ephod, one setting is on one strap and the other is on the other. Thus, the shoulder straps of the ephod hold up the choshen, so it will not fall, and it suspends on these straps, on these golden ropes. Yet the bottom edge of the choshen moves in and out and knocks on the Kohen Gadol's stomach, and it's not fastened to him well. Therefore, two more rings were needed. Okay, two more rings were needed. I hope I got a picture of the other two rings, and here is the picture. Two more rings in the bottom of the choshen were needed, and you see the rope around him. So this was two more rings were needed, and then another gaitel to connect the back two rings and surrounded the kohen. So he was well wrapped, as they would say. He must have had somebody that needed to help him make sure that he was well wrapped and nothing moved. That's what Rashi said over here. Thus, the shoulder straps of the ephod hold up the choshen. The choshen moves in and out of sockets, the Kohen Gadol's stomach, and not fastened. Therefore, two more rings were needed at the lower part. The Torah proceeds to explain. Amud Panav, in front of him, front part of the ephod, meaning that he should not place the settings on the side of the shoulder straps, that towards the robe, but instead he should place the settings on the upper side, which is towards the outside. It's called the front of him. Verse 23, and then you make another two gold rings. You place them on the two ends of the choshen, on the edge towards the inner side of the ephod, as I just showed you. These are the two bottom corners, to the right and to the left. So Rashi says here you have two rings for replacement of the rings. One should be put on the two ends of the choshen's bottom, which is opposite the ephod. Since the top is not opposite the ephod, it's near his neck, where the ephod is placed on his waist. The Torah gives another sign, namely that he should not attach them on the choshen, the outer side of the bottom, but the inner side, as I showed you, in the inside towards the side of the ephod. Since the band of the ephod gridded the kohen, and the apron was folded in front of the Kohen Gadol on his waist, and a part of his stomach from either side until it was against the end of the choshen, and it ends lies on the ephod. Very, as you can see over here, the picture shows you the bottom of the choshen. You see it's folded. The bottom of the choshen was laying right next to the ephod, And there are the two rings that the Torah just mentions. Verse 27, and when you make these two rings, you put them on the bottom, place them on the two shoulder straps of the ephod from below towards the front of adjacent stream, over the above, lumas bachbate and the mal chesha ephod. So I'll take his ephod. So this is another two rings that he put on the ephod strap, on the bottom of the strap. Two more rings. So, right. So now he connect. This is the rope that went from the two rings that was on the ephod, on the choshen, to the two rings that were on the back of his the straps, and that's the way he ultimately took a gartel that went through all these four rings, and that's how he kept the choshen to his body. Because the Torah tells us he cannot move. It's not allowed to move. The choshen is not allowed to move from his body. So he had to be well roped in. That's what Rashi explains. It's a long Rashi. Let's continue verse 28. And then he shall fasten the choshen by its rings, to its rings. Of Tabasa Ephim, still he connects with a blue cord. So it shall be upon the on the choshen, and the choshen shall not move away from the ephod. So the choshen will always look connected to the ephod. We needed to have the ephod as the bottom part, and the choshen is attached to the choshen. And they would never move from each other. It looked like they were connected, but they were not connected, but they were held with strings that surrounded him, his body, from the front to the end, from the front side to the back side. And that is, here you can see maybe the picture. You have the two rings on the ephod strands, on the ephod straps, two rings there, and a rope that connected, a rope that connected all four strings, all four rings together. Rashi does explain the Yirkasu means that the word joining. It connected them together. Lias achesha the ephod, so that the choshen would be fastened to the band of the ephod. The yizach, it will not move. Verse 29, and Aaron shall carry the names of the children of Israel in the choshen of judgment, alibay on his heart, when he comes to the holy, for remembrance before the Lord forever. Continuously. Rashi, next verse 30. And then, as we learned, the choshen was one piece of cloth that was folded over. So you had an inside, and inside they used to put the urim v'tumim. We'll soon see what that means. Rashi explains what means urim. You put into the choshen, into the center of this choshen that had the 12 stones, into the flap, you put the urim v'tumim. And Rashi will explain that means. It'll be on the heart of Aaron. When he comes before God. And Aaron HaKohen will carry the judgment of the Jewish nation. Alibay, on his heart, Lefnei Hashem Tamid, before God, continuously. Now she says, what's the Urim v'Tumim? Hukstav, this was a paper. It was a paper, parchment was probably, which was inscribed the name of God, which Moshe Rabbeinu placed within the fold of the choshen. through which it would light up the words. So the Urim V'Tumim was this. Moshe Rabbeinu put a parchment with God's name in it, and that what gave the light of the words that shone, which would light up the words Meir, the perfect its words. The Urim and Tumim explains these words, and their predictions never failed, the Gemara says. The second temple, there was a choshen. There was, in the second temple, there was a choshen because it was impossible for the Kohen Gadol to be missing any of the garments, but there was no Urim V'Tumim. But the name of God was not inside. Because of the name, it was called judgment. And he shall acquire for him his judgment, Urim. So this is Urim V'Tumim. Urim means lights, and Tumim means perfect. So this was a very spiritual thing, and this brought about, this had many, when they would come, as it's brought down, when they would want to go out to war, they would first ask the court, and then they would ask the Kohen, and then they would ask the Urim V'Tumim if they should go out to war. As Mishpah B'nai Yisrael, the judgment of the children of Israel, the solution of the matter which they, the Jews, are judged and debating, whether or not to do something. According to Haggadah and Medrash, that the choshen atoned for the perversion of justice is called judgment, because if it gives it a considered judgment. So again, Rashi brings down the two interpretations that he gave before, that it either brought forgiveness to judgment, or in cases that they did not know an answer, they did not know what to do, they would ask the Kohen Gadol, and the Urim V'Tumim, his choshen, his breastplate, would suddenly shine out words. You had to know exactly how to figure out the meaning of the combination of words, but they would shine out words, and it would tell the Yidden, it would tell the Jews what the judgment is, or, as I said before, to go to war, not to go to war, etc., etc. And that completes the Chumash of the day. And now we go to the Tanya of the day. The Alter Rebbe thus explained, he's in the middle of chapter 27 of Tanya, one of the beautiful chapters of Tanya. The Alter Rebbe explains to Yid that every Jew should be happy, not just accept, but he should be happy in the avodah, in the service that God gave to him. And if his service is to control himself, then he shouldn't be sad, even if his service is to control himself from doing an Aveda. He shouldn't be sad that he has this kind of a obligation and such kind of responsibility to overcome sin. That means he's a capability to do sin. So why? Alter Rebbe says, because every time he controls himself not to do a sin, or not even to think about a sin, he does a mitzvah. So he should be satisfied, he should make a kiddush. And he should be happy that he overcame his Aveda. Now the Alter Rebbe is going to go further. And he's going to tell you how much the concept of iskafia, the aspect of subduing oneself, controlling oneself, is not just beautiful when somebody controls evil. The beauty of self-control is even in things that are allowed. The Eibishter gave us a great power that we should have learn self-control. Even in things that are allowed, if we can control ourselves, even things that are allowed, wow, that will be an unbelievable thing. So that's what Alter Rebbe goes into. So we don't have to wait for bad or negativity to learn self-control. We should learn in the positivity self-control, in good things, in allowed things self-control. Not in good things, but in allowed things self-control. There was an expression of Chassidim. What you're not allowed, you're not allowed. And what you're allowed, you don't have to have. So if we would learn how to control ourselves, even in things we're allowed, then it'll be easier for us to control ourselves in things we're not allowed, because we have learned self-control, which is an unbelievable thing for a person to learn self-control. And self-control, after that, is talking about between us and God. That the Eibush has a great nachas ruach. God has a great satisfaction when we learn self-control, even in things that are allowed. And that's what he's going to tell us. And not only that, not only fighting the evil thoughts does one subdue tzita achra, but even if matters that are fully permissible. If one call Masha Adam Zevech, every act of sacrifice, one's impulse, even if only for a short while, I'm not gonna not do it. I'll do it in an hour. With the intention to do the sitra achra, self-control, to show your desire. You know what? I'll fulfill the desire, because desire is a kosher desire. Why shouldn't I fill my kosher desire? But you know what? Not now. I'm going to show self-control, even things that I'm allowed. He has a desire to eat. Nothing wrong. He's eating kosher. What's wrong with you going to eat? He says, you know what? I'll push it off. I'll eat in an hour. Alisha, half an hour. And he says, you know, I'll go learn something. Instead of running to eat, I'll push it off for half an hour. I'll go learn something. And I will eat in another half an hour. Wow, after that it says, if I can do that, I've taught myself self-control. I've taught myself self-control, and that automatically subdues my evil inclination, because my evil inclination hopes that I have no control, not only in evil thoughts, but even in things that I'm allowed to. I should have no control. Whatever I desire, I need it now. Whatever I'm allowed to, I need it now. I don't need everything right now. I need a mitzvah now. Ratzla mitzvah. I need to run to a mitzvah. But I can wait to eat. K'de'isur Gemara. And the Gemara says, Sharavius Michael Koladim. The Gemara said the fourth hour of the day is when all men eat. Shishis. The 6th hour of the day was the mealtime for scholars. So they pushed it off for 2 hours. And they would go hungry for 2 hours. Lekavonazu. Then you know what? Everybody eats in the 4th hour. You know what? We'll learn a little bit more. We'll eat in the 6th hour. We're not going to only eat. We'll eat. We'll eat in the 6th hour. We'll push it off. We'll sit and learn for another 2 hours. Why do we have to go and do everything the way everybody else does? No. We'll control ourselves. Lunch won't be at 12 o'clock. Lunch will be at 2 o'clock. Even though after the Suda, so what's the difference? The point was they wanted to show themselves self-control. They wanted to show that it's not, they're going to eat anyway. And they're going to learn after eating. And they're learning before eating. The point was to show that they don't need to have it exactly that time. They can have self-control. It's a very important thing for us to learn self-control, that we are in control. And once we learn that we are in control, then we can have control over evil too. And then also, if you can restrain yourself from eating, restrain yourself from speaking. Even things that I want to speak. I'm not speaking terrible things. I just like to speak. Let's talk. Control. Not everything has to be spoken. Not every conversation has to be had. even where there's nothing wrong with the words per se, yet he refrains from speaking them precisely because he desires to do so. I want to show self-control. I could speak. There's nothing wrong when I'm going to speak. But you know what? Instead of speaking Narishkeit, instead of speaking those things of the world, I'll say Dvar Torah. I'll say words of Torah. That's self-control. And you can do the same thing in your thought. I can think regular things. I say, you know what? I'm gonna have self-control. I'm gonna think something holy. I'm gonna see something positive. My thought that I pushed away is not a negative thought. It's not a sin. I just don't want to think. I want to have control over my thoughts. I want to have control even of my thoughts that are not evil. I want to show self-control. For a human being, that's an unbelievable accomplishment, Alter Rebbe says. It's an unbelievable accomplishment. In the slightest subjugation of Sitra Achra here below, because you Sitra Achra, your Nefesh Abaham is not always evil. He just likes to talk. Your Nefesh Abaham says, we need to talk Torah. What do you need to talk purposeful words? Let's just have a conversation. Let's just waste time. We're not going to do any sins. We're not going to talk Lashon Hara. Let's just have a waste of time. And let's talk nothing. We could sit and meet somebody else. We talk for 2 hours, garnished. Garnished. We didn't talk negative. We didn't talk evil. We just spoke nothing. Now, one word. So imagine you take that 2 hours, you meet your friend, and you say, you know what, I'm going to use 5 minutes. I'm going to say some words of Torah. I'm going to say some words that have some purpose in it, some value, godly value in it. I'm not going to take the whole conversation, 2-hour conversation. I want to have friendship. I want to talk things that we talk. But I'm going to take 5 minutes. And I'm going to tell my friend, wherever it might be, I'm going to say some words of Torah. Wow! You don't realize that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the amount of time is, that couple of minutes has an unbelievable effect, Lamaila, because that couple of minutes you showed control. You said, basically, I'm not going to become a tzaddik. I'm going to talk to this person 2 hours and learning. It's not going to happen. But I'm going to take 5 minutes of this 2 hours, and I'm going to say something, words of Torah, some words of knowledge, some words of God. You can't imagine what you have accomplished in that 5 minutes. Because the slightest subjugation of Sitra Achra here below is Talek Yikodesh Kushbrichu Le'elo Harbe. The glory of God and His holiness is greatly elevated and high. The Alter Rebbe just now gave each and every one of us such unbelievable power. You're not going to find this anywhere else. The Alter Rebbe gave each and every us unbelievable power of what we accomplish if we just take a couple of minutes. He's not telling you here to change your conversation, to become the tzaddik. And we're going to meet the friend and we're going to talk, we're going to have a class. No, talk, have your conversation. Take 2 minutes. Change the world with 2 minutes. You're going to see what you're going to accomplish. Like you sit down, you have a meal, take 2 minutes. And say words of Torah, 2 minutes. And I ask you to become the rabbi of the meal. And then the philosopher of the Jewish philosopher of the meal. Nobody's going to be interested. Take 2 minutes. Say one word of Torah in this meal. Show that you have self-control, you have the power of yourself to do that. You're going to accomplish an unbelievable accomplishment in the upper worlds and in the lower worlds. That's the completion of the Tanya of today, my friend. The Tillim of the day is chapter 35, 36, 37, and 38. Today is the sixth day of the month. If you do those 4 chapters, you would have done the chitat of the day. I wish you a great, beautiful, happy, and healthy day. And Amit Shem, I'll see you all tomorrow. 8 a.m. We'll continue the Tanya of the day.